If you've got a Microteach coming up soon, whether it's with us or another organisation, we've got some hints and tips for you today on how you can make that go as perfectly as it can. Not that many people out there really enjoy being observed when they're teaching because it's really nerve-wracking, but it is a fantastic way to see how you're doing as a teacher. Now, your Microteach is a 15-minute session. It's usually in front of a group, although if you're doing this distance learning, you might bring your own group together, or I might get a group together for you, and we might do it by FaceTime or Skype. So there are lots of different ways that we can be doing this. Choose a topic that you're comfortable with, something that you know really well. There are enough things to worry about when you're doing your Microteach without somebody asking you a question that you don't know the answer to, or something happening that you're not prepared for. If you know your subject inside out, that's not going to happen to you because you just know it. There are so many different topics out there that you can choose from. It could be something to do with a hobby that you've got, it could be something to do with your work, it could be a session that you're doing all the time now. Most students say that the 15 minutes that they spend on Microteach goes in a flash, and it really does. Whether you're watching it, whether you're taking part in it, whether you're the one who's actually delivering it, it is quick. There is so much to fit in. Don't try and fit too much into your Microteach. Now, all the way through the course, we're looking at ways that we can be inclusive, we're looking at bringing everyone who we possibly can into our sessions, we're learning about equality and diversity, we're learning about additional needs, we're learning about different ways that we can deliver. And although we want you to put as much of that in as you can, you're not going to be able to fit absolutely everything in because you've only got 15 minutes. So pick and choose your activities, pick and choose the bits that you talk about, and just practice until it is down to those 15 minutes. We ask you to fill in this really detailed lesson plan. Now, it's several pages long. But the back is an evaluation rather than part of your actual plan. Now, in the real world, you're not going to be completing a lesson plan of that size for every lesson that you deliver because you just wouldn't have time, you'd never do any teaching. But for the purpose of Microteach, we ask you to do it because it hits a lot of criteria and it's really useful for the qualification. So spend some time on that lesson plan. You don't need to hand in the completed copy at the end because you've got time afterwards. You're going to be taking it away and doing some of your evaluation. So don't worry if it's not complete by the day. I would like to see it though, just so that I know it exists. But as part of a planning tool, just spend some time on it. Whether you're doing your Microteach via FaceTime or Skype, or whether you're sending me a recording, or whether we're doing it live in the classroom, you get to choose who your audience is. Now, I don't mean the actual people sitting there, the real people, but you tell us who you want us to be. For example, it might be that you're delivering an employability session for a group of young people aged 16 to 25, and that's who you want us to be. Now, it doesn't mean that we're actually going to act like those people, but what we are going to do is we're going to be taking into consideration when we're giving you your feedback how you communicated with those learners to meet their individual needs, which is a theme that comes up throughout the course. It may be that you want us to be a group of, first year accountancy students, in which case the communication that you have with them might be very different to the communication that you could have if you had a group of 14-year-olds who you were teaching basic road safety to. With that in mind, if you're delivering something that's a little bit technical, you might need to take into consideration whether the people who are really sitting in front of you are going to be able to do the task that you're giving them. For example, I'm going to show you a clip of Paul, who did his Microteach very recently and delivered a session on repairing a puncture on a tyre. Now, at the beginning of the session, he did a bit of a recap about something that hadn't obviously happened in real life, where he mentioned that the previous time that they'd met, they learned how to take the tyre off the bike. So at that point, we knew, okay, we've already got that knowledge, we're now in a position to fix the puncture. And it went from there. So here's a clip from that.
What you now need to do is just run that tyre through the bowl of water in front of you. I would generally start at the valve end and then run it through in a circular motion slowly, and when you see bubbles escaping, that should be where your hole is. You may need to put a little bit more air in there, but that's fine. So have a look. So yeah, if you can't see any air escaping, possibly need a bit more air in there. See bubbles coming out? Yeah. Got it.
Oh yeah.
Right. So now you can see the bubbles. So if one of you wants to put your sort of finger on the hole or keep an eye on where that hole is.
So as you can see, the group of students had the tyre ready in front of them. They didn't have to take it off beforehand. They were ready to go. So consider that for your session. What do the learners know up until now? Here's another clip of Steve. Steve was teaching us about self-defence, and it was using jiu-jitsu moves. Now, before we got onto the self-defense, he did a short part of the session teaching us a little bit about martial arts, where it come from, some of the different terms that might be used, which was really effective.
And the benefits of self-confidence and fitness. Now, what I would like to say is that jiu-jitsu, which originated in Japan, was part of the samurai soldiers' self-defense techniques. Okay? So when they went into battle and they lost swords, what they would do is start fighting hand to hand. Jiu-jitsu actually means gentle art, so it's the art of one-to-one combat. You know?
By the time people came to do the practical part of the session, they already had a little bit of knowledge, which meant that they were able to do the moves more effectively. They had some understanding about where things had come from, and it just gave the session a really nice, rounded feel. Have a backup plan. If you're going to show a video, make sure you know exactly what's happening in that video so that you can have a chat with your group if for some reason the video doesn't play. Unfortunately, it does happen every so often and you're being observed, so just beware. On the subject of videos, do you really need to show one in your Microteach? It might be that you do, because if you need to do a demonstration that you actually can't physically do in the middle of the Microteach, a video could be a perfect option. But sometimes people do include them because they want to include a different teaching and learning strategy. Again, that's absolutely fine, but what you could do is send everybody a link at the end. Then that way you're embedding IT, they've got to go onto the internet to watch the video, it's additional learning, it's something that they can follow up with, and that is absolutely fine. If you want to save valuable minutes in your Microteach, leave the video out. Don't be afraid to get your learners to do some of the work. You don't have to be doing everything yourself in that Microteach. It might be that you give a student a task, it might be that you ask them to get something ready for you, it might be that the activity that you do with them is long. It really doesn't matter. As long as it works for your topic, that's absolutely fine. Please don't feel like you have to stand there and do all of the delivery and do all of the work, because you really don't. We had a really effective Microteach very recently, and we were looking at happiness myths, which was a really interesting topic. Now, our student, I'll show you a quick clip. Our student got learners at the end to sit and go through some breathing exercises and some mindfulness exercises, and it was really effective. She was simply talking us through. I'll show you.
Notice what distracted you and return your attention back to your breath. Now when you are ready, bring yourself back to the room and open your eyes. How's everybody feeling? Okay? Did you notice that whilst we...
Wishing you all the best of luck with your Microteach. If you need any further help and support at all, and you've got the book, there is lots of Microteach information on pages 7 to 11, or just get in touch. I'm happy to talk through your topic, your lesson plan, anything at all that you need. Wishing you all the best.